on here? Okay, back with another live stream. Seeing that everything looks okay. I always have to do that. Sorry, but that's the way I have to do it. Okay. Okay. I ran my virus scan. I'll just go straight to it because I need to hurry because this machine's been running all night and I just really don't know how much. Well, number one, there's only 5.7 gigabyte of space left, and number two, I don't know how long it could handle, doing more hard work. So I let it run all night, and at some point it finished. Yeah, there's no time or anything, but so that's what it looks like when it's finished in KlamAV. The KlamAV is the graphic user interface. It's built for KDE desktop, but it works on any Linux desktop, or at least it works on Mate and I know, and XFCE, and I think it works. If you can, I think it does. I'm pretty sure I've used it in there. And of course, it works in KDE. I like the KDE apps, a lot of them, but I don't like the desktop, so I don't use it. And KlamAV, CLAMAV is a name of the application. If you just install that, you'll just get a command line interface. So you need a GUI, unless you like typing in the command line and you know how to do it, know the commands. I'm running it as super user, so I did start it from the command line. I open up a terminal, type SU to get super user privileges. I don't use sudo because it doesn't give you full super user privileges. SU does. SUDO does not. It's still kind of held back a little bit. And so then you put in your, it asks you for your root password, and then just type KLAMAV, and it'll open right up in the GUI. And that's the pretty much. There's a few apps that you can. There's a few apps that need super user privileges, and if you open them up in your regular user, they'll ask you for the super user passwords. But this is not one. This one, if you want to, you really, as a general rule, you would. Most of the time, you're not going to want to run it as super user anyway, because you can completely break your system in a heartbeat. So if you run it as just your regular user, the only thing you might possibly break is just some of your apps, but not your system. And I'll go into that right now. Examples of that. Here's the scan. Let's see. I never did get to see if there was any. I've got it organized by the name of the problem file. Okay, they're good. There's not a single problem that says infection, virus, rootkit, or anything. All of these will probably end up being just system files that KlamAV. I was trying to think of a way to explain how it does or how it works. It runs on Linux. Okay, KlamAV, and I can't remember because it's been so long since I even went to their website or anything. I discovered it all and how to in the Fedora repos years ago, and I've been using it for years. So, but I have been to their website. But I get the feeling from using it that it was kind of. I'm almost certain it will run on Windows. They have a version for Windows. I'm not going to open up a browser right now. Well, this one's all. This one has a messed up. Well, I have that browser I could use, but anyway, I don't want to spend too much time. So I think it's basically a Windows virus scanner that will run on Linux. That's how it acts to me, because it sees Windows. When it sees Linux system files, it doesn't know what they are. It thinks they're broken, and it reports them in the heuristic scan. I always turn on the heuristic scan to be more thorough. Broken executable. Now, if you see broken executables and it's a Windows file, say like if you've downloaded some and you're still on the Linux system, or if you're on your Windows system and you're using this, if it's an executable or MSI or Microsoft, MSI, MIS, whichever one it is, any of those install files for Windows, and it says broken, it's probably broken because it has a virus implanted in it, a Trojan or something. So delete it. Even if it's a system file, I would, even though that's probably going to break your system. You just have to fix it or reformat. Usually, if you're infected, so far I haven't seen that the infection spread outside of my browser cache. But there was a lot. I've got 3 machines now, and this is the one. Let's see, I've scanned this one. This is the second time with KlamAV. Usually I just change scanners, but there's only one available to run in Linux. Well, there's some that are rescue systems you can run from a live CD, and I'm going to see. Actually, I may see if Bitdefender will run on here and be able to mount. The problem is there's not too many Linux systems that can mount LVMs. Only Fedora does that by default. I mean, you could do it, but it's hard to do in the command line and all that stuff. And I've done it before, but it's a pain. So I just try to use the things that use a graphic user interface. Anyway, I do know that when I ran Bitdefender on my backup drive on the Dell 6000 laptop, it mounted. I thought at least I was in a hurry, wasn't, but I thought that it mounted every drive, every partition on the system, including all the system, but it was Debian. I wasn't thinking at the time that was Debian. Debian doesn't use LVMs; it uses ext4 and I guess it uses only ext4 now. It used to use like ext2 and 2, 3, and then 4. And anyway, I'd have to look at it. So all of these, I'm going to look through where they're at. They're all system files. Some of them don't even know what to do because there's so much to any system. Well, there's so much to any of them that you take. I guess some people want to learn every little detail. I like to learn enough to get in trouble. I guess I don't know. I like to learn, but I just can't remember certain details, so it doesn't do me a lot of good. Boot, VM, linuz. Those are boot part of the boot files. Oh, those are the boot kernels. Yeah, because see, it said 4.8.12. That's the kernel, and when you root up, you'll see that. It'll tell you your kernel. So that's the kernels. So those aren't broken. We're running the system. If they were, and I would, you might think, well, that might be infected, right? Well, since 2005, ever since I've been running Linux, this always happens in a KlamAV scan with these types of files, and I've never had any indication that I was infected ever. This is the first time. Even this time, what made me really worry is because this addonbrowser.com add-on called SafeWeb with VirusTotal was opening up addonbrowser.com, which is their page, but it was nothing but it didn't even say anything about SafeWeb with VirusTotal on the page. It was just games and other types of suspicious stuff, and it was opening up it opened up a fake Firefox update. It opened up Amazon pages, random Amazon pages, which I kind of did some research, and actually not recently, but in the past, I didn't figure out where this was all coming from. It happened a while, and then it quit a few months ago, right after I installed this add-on, and I never did connect it to this add-on because it's supposed to be, it's a link scanner to see if links are safe, and it actually, I believe it does use VTZilla. I thought it was, I kind of thought, well, I kind of gathered that it wasn't actually part of the VTZilla VirusTotal. VTZilla is the Firefox add-on made by VirusTotal, and it's a good one. I've used it for years, but I couldn't find it because when they went to Firefox Quantum and retired all add-ons and required everyone who wrote add-ons to rewrite them to make it work, so supposedly for more safety. This is the first time I've ever had a problem with an add-on with malicious anything myself. Of course, I've always been kind of careful, read the reviews and stuff, but I think it has. I'm sure it's happened. But anyway, VTZilla, I believe it uses their scanning engine is what it does, because I saw their code. I saw the code of the addonbrowser.com add-on I had, the SafeWeb with VirusTotal. I saw the code, I found the code, and I looked through the code of every add-on I had, and I had never seen that before. And it's real short and simple, and it tells you it shows. Of course, it showed addonbrowser.com. That's how I nailed it down that's the one. And actually, it was in the description. I had missed it over and over of that address. And so what I was doing was going down through every single one of my add-ons and looking to see what website they were connecting to. Most of them, like VTZilla, it says in there that it's made by VirusTotal, and their website is virustotal.com or .org or whatever. All of them are like that except for this one. Anyway, this one was opening up all these And I do know that that fake Firefox update is a common, well-known thing, and it is malicious and all that. So, because I found it on other websites, you know, people trying to help you clean your Windows system up. So, so that's why I'm being so very careful, because you know, something gets in your web browser. That's one of those places. That's the most vulnerable place in a Linux system, is the web browser. Well, it isn't any system, but that's the one place where I can see that because when you install applications, well, if you only install applications from the Fedora repos or the Debian repos, then they're already checked out and that's kept clean by them. But if you go download something from somewhere and install it, which I've done, you better pay attention to whether or not it seems trustworthy, you know. And I'm kind of talking myself into a circle here, but I guess I keep doing this every time I make a video too. But what I'm trying to say is, I'm gonna have to stop there because I went blank. I just got done with breakfast an hour or two ago, so I'm not with it. I've been going to bed a little later, getting up a little later, you know. So I got up around noon. It's 4 now, 4:03. So okay. So all of these, I'm gonna finish looking through them. Boot EFI system. That's part of your boot files, you know. Well, that'd be for EFI. I don't use EFI boot, but you could. Fedora will work with the EFI boot BIOS, but this machine doesn't even have that, so I don't have to worry about it. Lost and found. It still says broken executable. Now you can delete lost and found files. CROND. Cron job is something that runs automatically. I think I will delete those because just in case they could be. I mean, it's not going to hurt to delete them. I don't need them, you know. So I'm going to right-click quarantine. That's how you delete them. Yeah. I don't know if I probably didn't notice that I was trying to go too fast before. Okay, now see, it says you can't do it. It says this happens a lot when there's duplicate files. Was a problem with lost and found cron D. Check your disk space, permissions, your quarantine location, and whether the file is the same name or it exists. There it tells you just what to do. So go to quarantine, and for some reason, especially in Fedora, here in Fedora 23 and some of the older ones, they won't show up until you hit refresh in the quarantine. There it is. Lost and found cron D. Hit delete. I guess it wants to make sure you don't accidentally delete your system files, you know. It gives you time to think about it. Delete. Okay, now it's gone. Now I'll go back to my scan window. Now, right click on it and say quarantine, and it won't let me do it. The only thing you can do in that case is manually delete it. Most of the time it'll let you do it after you've done that. And I don't think when I delete it, well, when you delete with KlamAV, I can't remember now, does it go to your trash or does it go completely gone forever? If you delete stuff, the way I have my Crusader set up, if you delete stuff, it's gone. So be careful when you're deleting. Let's go to lost plus found cron D and see. I will probably have to open it up. Crusader, I know I will have to open up Crusader. Here's see my video's doing fine. Do that, and then while that's opening, I'm going to close it so I don't want to have too much stuff open. I don't remember the password right now, so let me get it out. Got to have the root password, not just the password to the system. I remember the login password. Okay, there we go. Now, let's see. Yeah, we're doing yeah, I'm going to leave my preview playing. That helps me a lot. Okay, so now we're in Crusader root mode, and used to, I don't. They keep changing the how the themes work, you know. And used to it was in every other machine, but this one it's red. That little icon is red instead of white. Now I always know, see red, I'm in Crusader root mode. Crusader root mode. I don't like that. So let's go to the absolute root of the whole system. Lost and found. Okay, now what's this? Temp file accession ID. I never mess around with lost and found, but I gather they're not being used. They're considered lost, but they're saving them in case it's needed. You find out that it's needed. Okay, so I think that file. It's also possible that obviously that file's no longer there. It was showing up twice. It could be that a system already deleted it since the scanner found it. That's what I'm gonna guess. That would break my video if it was being used. I don't believe it is. Let's see. I'm not gonna activate it. So that's not one of the files in my scan. Let's see. System actually seems to be running pretty good. So where's Crusader? It's not using a bunch of CPU or anything, so I'll let it run in case I need it again. And yeah, okay, I can see that what I'm doing is showing up. Let's make sure my audio is still working. Yeah, working good. Okay, let's go start at the top again. See if anything else I went too fast. The rescue. Oh, that's the rescue kernel, I think. So yeah, you don't want to delete those. You destroy your system. It would not boot for sure. So when you couldn't do that if you're just scanning in your regular user mode. When you're using super user mode, group mode, then you can delete anything you want. So be careful. So I'm gonna. There must have only really been one in there at this time. Maybe during this course of the scan, it was in there and then got deleted by the system. So I'm gonna figure. Okay, lib modules. Something else to do with the kernels. A lot of things to do with the kernels. And that's the basis of the whole operating system. That's what the system runs on, is the kernel. Everything else runs on the kernel or works through the kernel, however you should say it. And boot EFI again. See, it keeps saying there. It shows up as and these, you got to realize this says these are viruses or problems, or possible problems. If you read the instructions, it'll tell you that. That's what really this represents. When this scan, that's why you just want to have it only just tell you, just report, and I don't want to click anything else. You don't want to have it. If you tell it to tell you every time it finds something, it would do it that many times, and you'd never get done because you probably wouldn't even be, you'd drive you nuts. I know that. I've tried it before, and anyway, you might be off in the other room or something, or maybe if you have to go to bed, you darn sure don't want to do that. Okay, like I did, let it run all night, because it did take, I don't know how long, it ran 3 or 4 hours before, and it still wasn't, it was up into my personal files, up into my pictures, I think, when I went to sleep. And so then you've got, after pictures, you got videos and so on and so on, so it was going to be a while. Now, this is share DK 2 ovum F shell EFI, another something to do with the EFI stuff. I don't know what that is really, but I know it's system stuff. Core dumps. Now I don't know. I wouldn't bother with them. Let's see. Those are all. Well, those 2017, 04, 14. Let's see, 2018. I forgot which way is which. I guess it's month 04, date 14. At the time. Anyway, I don't think that, at least not, I don't think a core dump would be accessed again, unless you did it manually to read it, so I wouldn't worry about that. I never have, and I've never had a problem from it. I've scanned, because I'm always downloading Windows files, so maybe try out one day, and sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I've scanned lots of, pretty much any time I scan one of my systems, one of my backup drives, if I scan my backup drives, they're gonna have some Trojans and stuff in there from Windows files, No matter how careful you are downloading Windows stuff, there's always something bad. And the bad thing is some of them are, I think I've seen it in action. You download a file, you don't even touch it for 2 or 3 years, and then they used to call them time bombs or something like that. That's what they were. They were time bombs, and on a certain date in the future from when they were made, they would explode, and go looking. They would go crawling the system looking for other files with vulnerabilities and infect those files. So, because I have scanned it a month, then scan it my backup drives, and then a month so later scan them again, knowing I haven't accessed either one of these files or these folders, and it had spread, So that's why I'm being so careful, because I know that if it's possible in Windows, somebody's going to figure out. I'm sure they already have. Some people have already figured out how to do it in Linux too. It is harder in Linux, especially Fedora, because whenever one Linux has a good user permission setup, that's the other thing. You wouldn't want to just, like, I started to view that file and I thought, no way, if there was something in it, that would execute it, so I don't want to view that file. I think I'll close that. Well, let's wait till I'm done. You got to stop and think, what are you doing? When you're trying to clean something up, you might actually open up a what do they call them? There's others they call something bomb, that when you open them, they bomb your system. Cluster bomb your system with malware. Okay, so I'm not going to bother with the core dumps. I don't want to delete anything that I could actually break the system before. I am going to reformat it, but I want it to run until I'm ready to do that. So for Ronix Test Suite, install tests. I forgot exactly what Phoronix does, but I installed that. But it says this is not a broken executable, and those are the ones that you do really in Windows. The files you really need to pretty well consider they probably are infected, but not in Linux like I'm saying here. But heuristics encrypted zip. Well, there's a lot of reasons to encrypt a file, and one thing is to protect it from viruses and stuff. But also, if it is a virus, it may be encrypted to stop you from seeing it, deleting it. Stop the virus scanner from seeing it, and you from even opening it. It only opens when it wants to. Of course, you see, it stops you from opening it, but it can open when it wants to, when it's time to, or whenever certain conditions occur, or whatever. So this here is encrypted, and that's probably a good thing. Just like these PDFs, these tax PDFs that you get from TurboTax are always encrypted. And they're not encrypted where you have to type in a password. They're actually encrypted so that by Adobe, and you have to use Adobe Viewer to read them. It kind of goes back and forth. Sometimes I've not been able to read them with anything but Adobe Reader, and then other times, I guess some readers maybe, however they do that, some readers have that in them too, and they can open them. So they're encrypted where the data couldn't be read from just any old program like a text viewer or whatever, but the right PDF viewers can open them. And then firmware says encrypted. Well, that's fine. They're encrypted. I don't know exactly what these firmwares. Let's see. Can I tell? No, I don't know what the firmware is for, but it's going to be something for some of your hardware. BXGE, XFW, Pixie. Now, PXE is a network, so maybe it's part of the, probably part of the network drivers, firmware drivers. In Linux, they used to always make a real point of saying Linux doesn't use drivers, it uses, I don't remember them using the word firmware. I think they use something else, but firmware is what's installed. That's what makes a chip run, right? Like say your Broadcom Ethernet chip. You got to have the right firmware for it. And generally now, even Linux people call them drivers now. I kept doing it because I was just so used to doing it for all the years previously with Windows. So I don't have anything out of all those files down there at the bottom scanned, down here where my mouse cursor is. Out of the 59 viruses or / problems found, none of them are actual problems. So that's the thing you have to do. I did go ahead and delete that one, and just to be safe, just since lost and found is not really of any use to me. I've never needed to go back and get one or anything. So that's good. That's really good. I was wondering if I would see what I want to do is just plug in my backup drive and let it back up, but I didn't want to send like say if that's why I scanned every single folder on this thing as root user. That way, if anything did get bombed, did bomb the system and it went somewhere else, I'd find it. Unless, of course, it's something can hide from KlamAV. That's the other consideration. But that's really encouraging because the last time I scanned it, there were some things in the browser cache. But since I've deleted that add-on, it looks like maybe there wasn't nothing left behind that was able to reinfect. Actually nothing was anywhere outside of the browser cache. So, oh yeah, I forgot. I want to do my, I always do screenshots so that I can look later at them in a glance, And I've showed those, my previous scans before, so I won't go through all that again. Okay, so good. But I am thinking, and I may do that here. I may, before I do the backup, I may try and see if I'm really wondering if Bitdefender could. It's a pretty good scanner. Even rescue system, I have on my little SD card. I'm gonna close it now. And this, when you close the scan results, and you go back to the main screen, and see right there you have ask me quarantine the file. You don't want to ever do that because you know what would have happened. The system would have crashed most likely because it would have started quarantining system files. So you can't do that. Have it automatically quarantine. So you can either ask me, which that's the default, and you can't change that evidently. If I could, I would have done it. I'm sure in the options over here. Oh, and I always say maximum, I believe the maximum number of files to extract default. I left that all on default. Oh. Let's see, I guess I haven't used, this is a bad thing to see right now. I didn't have it set to scan zip files, RAR files, or any of this stuff. And those are some of the ones that I want to scan. Well, especially if I don't have really any downloads. That's what, your downloads usually are the ones that are in that format. Let me look. I'm glad I looked in there. Okay, scan files containing emails for sure, portable executable files, HTML exploits, macros and Microsoft Office files. I probably do still have a few of those in my system, some of my older files. I use OpenOffice or LibreOffice. Well, I used OpenOffice and then I started using LibreOffice. Now, see, treat broken executables as a virus. That's why you get all that. What I was going through, that's why you get all those. You could turn that off. Mark encrypted files as suspicious. So this is what I'm trying to say. You cannot, by default, I don't think those are turned on. I think I turned those on. So but you see, there, like I said, if you got any Windows downloads on your system, then you want it to tell you about those. So I usually do have some. Let's see, what was all that? Auto scan. Oh, well, you can't. That doesn't work. You have to. It's never seen it work in Fedora ever since 2005. I've tried to set it up. There is some, dependencies that you need that aren't in the Fedora repos. I've tried once or twice to manually install them, and I just got hung. I got errors and couldn't get it done, so I quit trying. So you don't have any. You could have real time watching if you could get that set up. I've never done it. Then logging, I have everything turned on, but that. Let's see. So, yeah, I hit apply there. I usually I thought I'd use it, unless it's not saving my work. It should, but maybe I may have used. I've either haven't ever scanned this whole system as root user, or see, everything's got to be, all the settings are completely separated between the root user, using a program as root user, and using a program as regular user. So that's all turned on, I know, in my regular user. But I wouldn't have been able to. Let's close that. Now you can close it, and it'll stay open in the system tray. So it's going to be up there. See, it's not gone. So I'm going to leave that. If you close that, it probably would close it when you've started it like that from the command line. So I'm going to leave it alone because I want to go. I never did close this yet. Let's go to root. Yeah, there's not a thing in there. let's see, I'll get back all the way back. Home. Okay, that was, yeah, see there's two zips, that one and that one. Now what I can do is just scan that directory just to be sure. I think I will. There's not going to be really much else. Since I always back up and then delete because I didn't have much space left on this drive. So that, what's in there? That is my Firefox backup from when I refreshed it. Now if there was any, there are going to be some those kind of files. Dadgummit, that aggravates the heck out of me. But I'm glad I saw it. Okay, so yeah, the place where there might be some files like that would be in the home directory. So, and there could be in some of those files, you know, those system folders, dot so and so, dot this, dot that. So, guess what? I'm not done scanning with KlamAV yet. What I'm going to do then, I'm not going to do the whole system. I guess I'll just do my whole home directory. Ask me, no. How did that change? I must have accidentally done that. Okay, so I just got through doing my settings. Now, it should auto-update, but it was not turned on when I opened it up yesterday. Now it's already been done because it won't let you do update now. So it's already updated the virus definitions today. So once a day it'll update it. Let's see. Wednesday, June 13th. Oh. No, it was yesterday, but it was not letting me do it. Well, I'd really like to have today's definitions. I mean, yesterday's wouldn't be so bad, but well, what I can do then, I think, close this, and that should, let's see if it'll let me close it now. No, it didn't close it. Let's see if I hit quit, if it'll close it. Yes, I do. Oh. No, it won't quit. Okay, so that's one thing you have to reboot. That's probably the best thing to do anyway. Oh yeah, I just remembered. Okay, so I'm going to reboot. I'll have to stop this video, reboot, and then scan again. Yeah, but I think I will only do my, yeah, because I've ran it so long. I know it can only run so long. Yeah, I'll reboot. That's real disappointment. Boy, and between me making mistakes, my head being all turned around, and then the complexity of all this, it really is a royal pain. Okay, so I'm going to go from this video, reboot the system, and then I'll go ahead and come back, start that scan, and then go from there with whatever else I can be doing while I'm waiting on that. I'll try to do it. What I was going to do is reboot the thing and probably see. I wanted to try the rescue. I could try that first anyway. I'm going to do that because, let's see, I won't be able to show it unless the only way I could show whether or not, you know, my whole thing about booting up to this little SD card and trying Bitdefender is if I had OBS Studio on. I've been meaning to put it on Mom's machine, but I haven't done it yet. But right now I just want to get this one cleaned up, backed up, and then I can reformat it. So now I'll use KlamAV root mode again because I don't really think this will work, and I can show that on my video. And then, well, I'll reboot onto this, and I'll tell you what happens. And I'll know. Then I'll know what's possible. Okay. And then I'm going to come back, and I will go ahead and, well, I'll do that. I'm confusing myself. All right. I'll be back in a while.